So what if I told you there might be a new Pixar, and you probably haven't even heard of it? Yeah. When Tomm Moore and his small team of animators released The Secret of Kells in 2009, no one would have imagined the success it would bring to the studio. From a small town named Kilkenny in Ireland came an animated movie that had been in the works for basically 10 years, and immediately put the industry on notice. Tomm and his co-founders were partially inspired by Mulan, which took indigenous traditional art as a starting point for a beautiful style of 2D animation. Moore and his team wanted to do something similar, but with Irish art, and they hit the mark in a huge way, securing the studio's first of many Oscar nominations.
Just being nominated is brilliant.
They were one of one. And all of a sudden, the studio was getting major offers left and right. But they, shockingly, honestly, chose to stay independent. This was the humble beginnings of a studio that would go on to have major success. A studio that has the potential to disrupt the space, just like Pixar did in 1995. Since their first movie in 2009, they've gone on to make 4 more feature animated films, 3 of them being nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscar. That's amazing. But what exactly makes their movies so beautiful? What makes their movies stand out? How is a humble studio from a small town in Ireland made such a mark over the past 15 years? Honestly, it can be summed up in one word: tradition. Cartoon Saloon have chosen to tell their stories through a lens rooted in tradition, not only culturally, but animation-wise as well. And that's really important for a few key reasons. Let me explain. Some of the best animated movies, in my opinion, are the ones that are rooted in culture and tradition. Coco, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Aladdin, Mulan, Moana. I could go on and on. It gives a movie extra depth and relatability. Cartoon Saloon's movies, for the most part, are entrenched in tradition. 3 of their movies, The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, and Wolfwalkers, are part of their Irish folklore trilogy. A loose trilogy of movies rooted in Irish history and tradition. The Breadwinner, their other Oscar-nominated film, is similar in that it portrays scenes in Afghanistan of cultural and historical significance. It's a point I touch on in my Studio Ghibli video, actually, but stories that accurately portray culture and history usually stand out as more complex, deep, and impressive movies in general. And that's something Cartoon Saloon has heavily relied on in the making of their films, with an abundance of traditional storytelling charm. In an era of craven slop that passes for family entertainment like Lightyear and The League of Super Pets, the work that Tomm and his team are doing is just tiers above. While many animation studios aiming to serve a global audience try to put out movies that possess broad international appeal, Cartoon Saloon has set itself apart by telling local stories that connect universally, while also sticking to a traditional hand-drawn style. See, Cartoon Saloon's movies like Wolfwalkers and Song of the Sea are all traditionally animated for the most part. For Moore, it was important to do hand-drawn animation because he wanted to be a classical animator like the way of old Disney. And you can tell there's definitely a resemblance in the art of Wolfwalkers and the art of some of Disney's old classics. It's another reason their movies have been so successful. In an era dominated by 3D animation, Cartoon Saloon haven't cared about following the trends at all. They went against the grain, and their movies beautifully separate themselves from most of the animated films in the 21st century. They want their movies to be timeless, just like some of the hand-drawn films from the 1940s, which are still gorgeous to this day. And it's not just that they're doing 2D animation. It's a specific type of hand-drawn animation that makes their movies so special. In any given scene in Wolfwalkers, for example, you can see the lines, the drawings, the strokes of the animation team at work that all together give a beautiful painting-esque image. It reminds me of 101 Dalmatians. The film have a similar quality in that you can see the pencil strokes and the imperfections of a scene, different to movies like Sleeping Beauty or Snow White. Just like Pixar in 1995, Cartoon Saloon have gone against the mold of the Western animation industry, done so in their own unique style, and have had amazing success. But Pixar's success wasn't solely based on their unique 3D animation. It was also because their stories were rooted in real-life experiences. Some of Pixar's best movies are based on personal experiences like Nemo or The Incredibles. The Incredibles, for example, being based on Brad Bird's personal challenges in balancing work and family life. They became great thanks in part to telling fantastical stories grounded in reality, which is exactly what Cartoon Saloon have done as well. Cartoon Saloon's movies are stories with elements inspired by real life, by personal experiences of Tomm Moore. At a time where Pixar is saying they want to move away from personal stories and more towards sequels,
Horrible idea.
Cartoon Saloon has done the opposite throughout its entire history, and it's one of the main reasons why their movies are so relatable. They're personal, they're real, and that translates to the audience. Not only is there a common theme of parenting throughout the movies, connected to Tom's relationship with his own son Ben, who was 14 when The Secret of Kells came out. Ben is actually also the name of the protagonist of their second movie, Song of the Sea. But not only that, in Wolfwalkers, the heroine Robin is based on Moore's wife as a child, determined, strong-willed, and loving nature and animals. While Mabe, on the other hand, was based on one of Tomm Moore's best childhood friends growing up, a tomboyish girl named Shirley. Robin and Mabe's friendship was very much inspired by Moore's friendship with Shirley. They came from very different families, but their friendship was a happy oasis when they were going through personal problems. It just goes to show how many personal touch points there are in the studio's movies, which really help ground the fantastical stories, giving them a super relatable and endearing element. What I'm gonna tell you next is nuts. Unlike Pixar, Cartoon Saloon didn't have a massive studio to fund them from day one. They've come out with some of the most gorgeous animated movies while basically broke. What do I mean? Well, although I might be exaggerating, compared to the budget of other Oscar-nominated films, Cartoon Saloon's movies have usually had some of the smallest budgets. Every time their movies have been nominated for Best Animated Feature, they've been the lowest budget movie on the slate. That's honestly incredible. Like, it's simply a testament to the fact that beautiful animation doesn't need to be overly complex or expensive. You just need passionate people, a beautiful story, and a focus on making the best possible movie, not making the most commercially viable product. Disney. Now, the real challenge with Cartoon Saloon is in continuing to grow while keeping the creativity and freedom that a small studio gets to have. In growing, it's hard to not become more and more corporate to where each project isn't full of passion anymore, but rather just an extra cog intended to fill someone's pockets. In this, I would really implore that Cartoon Saloon inspire themselves off of Studio Ghibli and what they've been able to achieve over their 45-year-long history. If I'm being perfectly honest with you guys, Cartoon Saloon is a studio that only really got on my radar a few months ago when I saw Wolfwalkers and just couldn't believe my eyes. They're ridiculously underrated and criminally unknown, but the way they're pushing Western animation forward in both style and storytelling is akin to Pixar's surge in the 90s. They might not have the box office numbers to prove it, but take this video as a calling to watch their movies if you haven't, because trust me when I say they'll have you absolutely questioning what in the hell you've been missing all this time.